Good evening and welcome to the Radical SR8 Championship. Round 7 takes us to Mosport Park in Canada. I am Tom Cairns in the control position with Cunningham, who'll be with me to take us through the action this evening. Let's have a look at the championship scores as we are entering the final minutes of qualifying. Let's begin with the pros. And looking at the top of the championship, there is Jack Veazey on 206.6, clear over John Hudson, who wasn't around last week at Belle Isle. Got Mike Booston in third place on 191, and Matthew Richardson in fourth on 190. So the race for the title is very much hotting up with 4 rounds remaining. Luke Maxwell, James Coombs, Luke Tunison, who won twice last week at Belle Isle. Can he continue that form here? We shall see. Tels Fosberg, Paul Crubb, and Paul LeMay have all scored points as well. Looking at the AMs, Mena de Graaf, who won 2 of the races in the AM class last week. He's 15 points clear over Gert-Jan Polman in second place. Steve Webb is in third, continuing his form over the course of the season so far. We've got Scott Kostrich in fourth. Gareth Newton in fifth place, followed by Stefan Milles. We've got Gray Matthews, Tom Weston, and Andy Pratt. All have scored points in that respective category. We've got around about 3.5 minutes to go in qualifying, and at the moment it's John Hudson who's at the top of the timing pages with a 1 minute 10.6, but can anyone deprive him of pole position? Let's ask Jim Cunningham to find out whether he thinks that will happen. Jim, good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Good to be here with you. Mosport Park in Canada. Beautiful Mosport Park in Canada. Fantastic looking track for sure. I don't know, man. Let's see. I think this, I don't know, for some reason, kind of seems like a John McCutcheon track to me. You know what I mean? It's just like, I just feel like he's going to be super fast here. So I would say that's probably going to stick. Although he's not that much faster than Veazey or Busan, Maxwell. They're all right there within just a couple of tenths of each other.
Yeah, well, it is very, very close considering how short of a circuit this is. 2.5 miles long with the Mario Andretti straightaway to consider. But the first part of the racetrack is rather notorious with the undulation involved. So I would expect to see a few mistakes here and there during the course of 3 races. The first one being 15 minutes long. The top 5 finishes will then be reversed for the second race grid. And at the end of race 2, which will also be 15 minutes long, the top 10 finishes will then be reversed for race number 3. Where the bigger chunk of points will be given out, it'll be a 20-minute affair, and then we'll have post-race interviews to have with drivers after the action is done. John Hudson's still at the top, but the likes of Mike Bousson, who is looking to continue his fine form at the moment. He won one of the races last week. He won the second of the 3, and he's looking to continue that here.
Yeah, and of course, Mike is, I guess, defending champion. Well, not defending champion, but was champion 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
They all kind of run together a little bit. But we certainly know Mike is extremely competitive and just put in a fast sector right there. It's going to be interesting to see if he jumps up here.
Mena de Graaf, who's been pushing towards the top end of threatening the pro drivers, despite the fact he is an AM driver. He's been brilliant recently. He's hoping to continue that here, and caused a bit of a stir, let's just say, as Scott Kostridge goes over the line with his latest time. He's 1 minute 11.6.
Nice jump.
Now becomes a 1 minute 11 dead. So he's around about 6/10 on that lap alone as we see Menno de Graaf go off the circuit.
I actually jumped past Menno de Graaf right there. So that's, Menno de Graaf is really, really looking strong as of late. We talked with him in depth about that a little bit last week and about the extra practicing and things. And, to me, I notice things like that, and he definitely, you can just see that he is getting quicker.
Yeah. There is the championship leader, or was the championship leader, John Hudson, the reigning champion. It's Jack Veazey who's leading the championship at the moment, albeit by a few points. But Hudson, who has missed 2 rounds already this season, he can't afford to miss any more. He needs to be around for the remainder of this season if he is to retain his crown. And there we see Jack Veazey go over the line, not able to improve on his position. He might have improved on his time, but he hasn't moved up the order with that lap. So looking at how much time we've got left in the session,
None.
The time is up, in fact.
Yeah, we've got none left.
Yeah, well, John Hudson can call himself a pole sitter around here because he has taken that, and that's a championship point going towards his total. Luke Maxwell will be on the front row next to him, and then it's Mike Bousson in 3rd place ahead of Jack Veazey. James Coombs and Luke Chinson on the 3rd row of the grid, and then we've got the 2 highest arms of Scott Kostridge and Menno de Graaf in 7th and 8th. Matthew Richardson and Steve Webb on 9th and 10th, followed by Stefan Millis and Gert-Jan Polman were on row number 6. On the back row, we've got Taras Vosberg and Graham Matthews.
I tell you, man, like we talked about this last week. It's my first 2 races of the season around here this year, and or this season, I should say. And I tell you what, there's some impressive drivers, man. Guys that have come in since was last here. James Combs, he's fast. He's right there with these other guys, right there within a 10th of them. And this Scott Kostrick, very fast as well. So yeah, it's always exciting to see new drivers come in and show speed. That always makes for good racing.
Yeah, and Luke Chinson, who won 2 of the races last week at Belle Isle, can he carry that into here and perhaps have an outside chance at the title? We shall see. And looking at the, just very quickly with the calendar, because we have been to 6 other venues along with this one this evening. Mosport Park, we go to Mugello next week, Hockenheim at the end of the month, then we finish the season at the historic configuration of Monza. Everyone is on the grid except Taras Vosberg, who we're just waiting on. He's got around about 25 seconds to make his way onto the grid. He's on the grid now, so we're good to go for race number 1 here at Mosport Park with John Hudson on pole and Luke Maxwell in that white 118 next to him alongside. The lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and it's Hudson who gets away cleanly off the line. Maxwell likewise, Bousson and Veazey seem to have resplendent starts as well, so no change in the order there. Matthew Richardson has moved up 2 positions at the expense of Scott Kostridge and Menno de Graaf, so he's made up ground as they all made their way through turn 2, where it can catch drivers out if they're not careful through here, but it seems as though that everyone has got through absolutely fine, and it's Hudson in leads. It's Maxwell, Bousson, Veazey, Coombs, Chinson in 6th place, and it's Menno de Graaf the highest of the AM so far.
Yeah, everybody got off to a nice clean start there. Nobody struggled getting off the line. Really good start. So I'll tell you what, this place is gorgeous, man, with the rolling elevation changes around here. Fantastic.
Out of Moss for the first time. You can see some Dyson further down the field. That is Gert-Jan Polman testing it out with Matthew Richardson. So he's made up some ground actually from where he had started as Polman.
Yeah, 4 spots.
Yeah. He's beginning to struggle at the moment, so he's not had a good second half of the opening lap of this, but there's a long way to go. The drivers will be heading over the line to complete lap number 1, and on lap number 2 they will go through the S's through the first time, and here is the leader leading a queue of cars over the line. Hudson leads the way ahead of Maxwell, and then he go through turn number 1, the right-hander, before they go up the hill.
Yeah, they're just nose to tail kind of running right now. I'm sure we're going to see some action up here towards the front. So we've got a little action going on back here. Steve Webb's dropped back 3 spots, and obviously Menno de Graaf. Did he have some trouble?
Yeah, he's got a problem there with Steve Webb. It looks like he's got damage as well. Can you just see the front left of his? It looks a little askew. But there we see Menno de Graaf, who went off the circuit at Moss on lap number 1, hence why he's gone down the order. He's now ahead of Steve Webb, is Menno.
Yeah, that's a shame for him. Yeah, he did get past Steve Webb there. Go back up front here.
You see Maxwell in P2, Buson in third. There they are, Redline teammates are Hudson, Maxwell and Buson, but it is every driver for themselves as Buson closes in on his fellow rival for the title, Luke Maxwell.
I tell you, we briefly hit on it there as we were looking at the points. This championship battle up here at the top is wide open right now. You got 4 guys that can take this title easily right now.
Good, and then Hudson running wide on the exit of turn 1, which won't have helped his cause, and Maxwell and Buson will close in a little. Steve Webb makes his way into the pit lane. I think he's had contact with someone, Jim, because he was very slow on that second lap, and now he's going to be using this first race as a test session.
I see nothing that shows that he had contact, but he must have. You're right, he must have. It almost seems like maybe he and Menno DeGraaf might have had some kind of incident, because it looked like DeGraaf's car had some damage on it as well. So and they were running kind of together, so that would make you believe that possibly they had some contact.
Down the straightaway they go. Are the leaders. Hudson leading Maxwell, who has decided not to go for it just yet, despite how close he is. You don't need me to tell you. You don't need me to tell you the gap at the moment. You can just see it in your picture. Scott Kostridge is still in the lead of the AMs, not for long though, because Pullman has now got ahead of him. So Pullman, who has started way down the field in 12th position, has just been repassed by Scott Kostridge at the S's. So brilliant dice further down the field here. Scott Kostridge, who is not quite in the championship race in the AMs. That's more likely with Pullman and Menno DeGraaf, who are in a tussle themselves, as well as Steve Webb, who's had a nightmare to get in this first race, but it is hotting up.
I'll tell you, Pullman was super fast last week too. I mean, he just kept having incidents that were, not necessarily even of his making. Just one of those kind of weeks where everything seemed to go wrong for him. But he's been fast, and this is good. This is a really exciting battle here. Both these guys are I would say, top level amateur drivers.
There is Pullman out of Moss behind Scott Kostridge as they go along the straightaway. Let's see Pullman coming through on Kostridge this time around. Well, he got him ahead of him to begin with at the end of the straightaway before Kostridge was able to retaliate, but now he's got Matthew Richardson, who is destined to go by them, but how quickly will he do so? We shall see. This Pullman to the outside of Kostridge through the S's. It'll be tough for him to do it from there, and he's having to tuck back in before he gets to Whites, and Richardson is looking for a way past, but there's just no way through, and this is costing Richardson time in going after the pros, as Kostridge is now nearly 4 seconds off Luke Chinson.
Yeah, that's he definitely seems like he's being held up a little there, but I'm not so sure that I mean, those guys are fast, he may not be able to get by.
He's got to bide his time and make his way up the order. The man sitting in 5th place, which would give him reverse grid pole for race number 2. That is James Coombs, who sits in comfortably in 5th position, just watching the top 4. Basically, form a procession. It has been a procession so far in this one, I'll be honest with you. But but I'm hoping it will change, because they are so close. They're just waiting for the best opportunity to go on by, because if they start dicing, that plays into the hands of those cars ahead. They're looking further back down the field. You can see a tussle going on. Vin Richardson's looking to go by Pullman on the straightaway. To the outside goes Richardson. The trouble he'll have is that Kostridge has given Pullman the draft at the end of the straightaway, which is enough for Pullman to stay in front. Is Richardson going to make an absolute lunge around the outside towards Whites? It's Pullman who outbrakes him, and Richardson loses even more time.
Yeah, Richardson's been fast, but I tell you, seems like some of these amateurs have kind of caught up to him, and he doesn't seem to quite have the speed that he had last year, at least in the 2 races that I've watched. Maybe he's not going to this track, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it has been one of those events so far for Matthew Richardson. Let's see if he can recover it. Remember, he had a brilliant event over at Summit Point where I think he won 2 of the races that time. And now he's looking to take advantage of Gertjan Poller's mistake out of Moss, but he's not able to do it there. So he's sitting back whilst Pullman is getting the draft again from Kostic on this straightaway. But Richardson's just going to have to be brave and absolutely send it right round the outside, but don't give him the inside for whites.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this place is tough to pass in these particular cars. They don't have, I guess, enough power to just throw. Got some dicing going on. I'm sorry, jumped up here to the lead real quick.
Yeah, that's VC and Bousson. VC and Bousson for third place as they go down the hill through turn number 2, otherwise known as Clayton. And now they're heading towards Cobet now. And it is Bousson remains in P3 with VC right behind. And Coombs is just waiting to take advantage of an opportunity. I think Coombs is thinking the long game here, getting that all-important reverse grid pole. As we watch the top 2 further ahead of Bousson and VC. Nose to tail, but that has been the case since the beginning.
Yeah, I think this track is just so much high-speed section that it's hard to
It looks
pass.
like
Yeah.
it's Pullman. Pullman's gone down the order,
And
Jim.
Mosport too. Let's see what happens here.
This is over at Moss Corner.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lock-up from Pullman to begin with, and Vosberg went down the order. And
I have to say, Vosberg did a good job. Absolutely not just cleaning him out right there. He could have just tore that car up bad, but he didn't. That was a good driving on his part. Unfortunate for both of them.
there was a dice between Kostic and Richardson at the end of the straight, and it looks like Richardson's gone through ahead of Kostic.
Oh.
And off goes Bousson. Bousson is off at Clayton, and that allows VZ, Coombs and Tunison to go on through. So a poor mistake by Bousson at that point has given 3 positions to his rivals in the title, particularly Jack VZ, who came into this as the championship leader, and now Bousson has left himself with it all to do.
Wow, yeah. That's quite dramatic there. I'm going to go back and see if I can find out what happened. Did they make contact or something?
No, it's Bousson who goes offline. That's the last thing you want going through there. He's been offline, and it's like it's sucking you in. Is that corner? You've just got basically nowhere to go from there, and that's the problem when you go offline. Is you're just not going to have the grip on the outside to really come back from there.
Yeah, and it's not like he was run out there by Beasley. You know, Beasley gave him plenty of room. He ran out there on his own, really.
Well, that has allowed Coombs to move into 4th position at the expense of Bousson. Tunison now in reverse grid pole territory in 5th place. He's looking to pick up another win at some point during this evening.
Can't help but mention what a phenomenal week he had. Took 2 of the 3 victories there. His first 2 victories in the series, and he's been around for a couple of seasons. So,
We see change in the AMS as Stefan Mills, for the first time in a long time, is leading that respective category, and there's contact between Menno de Graaf and Scott Kostic on the approach to Moss, and it is de Graaf who is heading on through, but that so easily could have been the pair of them off the circuit, and Taras Vosberg is looking to get through on the AMS at the moment because he's had one to forget so far. He didn't have a good qualifying, and he's just needing to pick these off one by one as when he can.
Let's see what happened here, how this all transpired, because Mellis was back there a good bit.
Well, Kostic went wide to begin with on the exit turn 1, got offline at turn 2, and that put him, that knocked him off kilter for the next right-hander, which is Quebec, and Mellis just went on by at some point. Now, when does Kostic lose the position? He must have lost it at turn 4 here. Unless this was on a previous lap.
No,
I wonder if
this
it's
all showed right before it all happened, but you know, I'm going to click on the actual pass, but there it is, okay.
So that's Kostic going off at 1, and then Mellis got alongside. Despite being on that dirty outside line of turn 2, it was still enough for him to go on through. He nearly put a wheel on the grass, actually, did Mellis, but fortune favours the brave, and he's now into the lead in the AMS.
Oh,
and off goes de Graaf again. Yeah, not for the first time. He's off at Moss, and that's cost him crucial points in the race for the championship. The consolation for him is that Gert-Jan Pullman is a distance behind him now, around about 6 seconds off. But that mistake from Menno de Graaf has cost him dear.
Yes, definitely cost him. Here, not recently recovering from his off-track moment there. He's not really closing the gap here on Tunison and Combs at all.
There is Buson in 6th place. He want to try and get by either Tunison or Cairns before this race, so he's got less than 3 minutes to do so. So I would probably say we've got 3 laps left in this one, and it is John Hudson who has led the way since the beginning. He hasn't pulled any further clear than just under a second. That's a mistake from Coombs, and through goes Tunison into 4th place. That was so nearly Coombs spinning around there, and not only would that have cost him 2 positions, that would have cost him reverse grip pole. He's coming back round the outside of Tunison at Moss Corner, and that was pure bravery from James Coombs, and he's through into 4th position again.
Brought Buson right back into the fight, though. That was all it took to get right back in the hunt.
And Kostrich is through again on Mellis for the lead in the AMs.
Mike's
Can
like
he keep it though in these remaining
Mike's
laps?
like one of them old British bulldogs too. If he gets on your tail, you know he's just going to keep nipping at you. He's so tenacious. We've got a change going on back here again. Kostrich has gotten back in front of Mellis.
And that's DeGraaf through on Mellis now into P2. So despite being off twice in this race, Menno DeGraaf is back into 2nd place in the AMs and going on for Scott Kostrich for the AM win. 2 laps to go.
Let's go see how he got back behind him. Oh, that's how.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was in the lead as well, was
Yeah.
Mellis, before he went off the circuit. So that's a terrible shame for Stefan. He's going to have to dig in deep if he is to come back through. Taras Vosberg is now ahead of all the AM drivers now. And he's going after Matthew Richardson, but I think it's going to be too late for him to do anything about him. Buson and Coombs have swapped places again, and Buson is now into 4th position. He must have got by Tunison and Coombs on this lap.
I'm missing every one of them. I go look at one and I miss the other one.
Yeah, I think Coombs has been off the circuit, Jim, because...
He did, yeah.
Yeah, because you could see the car was weaving around just to get the mud off
Oh.
his tyres. And Buson bars Tunison out the way to begin with. A little bit naughty that from Buson, unless he felt Tunison turned in on him. And further on ahead, we're going to see James Coombs go off the circuit at Moss.
Yes.
So quite a fortuitous lap for Mike Buson. But I wonder if he may have something explaining to do with that incident with Luke Tunison at turn number 3.
Seems like he could, right? I mean, that was. We didn't analyze it in depth or anything, but it sure looked like he kind of drove it in there and got him with his nose a little bit.
Well, we are on the final lap of the race, and John Hudson is going to be returning to winning ways after missing Belle Isle last week. And it feels like it's going to be another one of those evenings where he'll take an absolute stride towards the title, with VC finishing in 3rd place. As it stands, John Hudson will move into the lead of the standings, albeit by a single point, I think, going into race number 2. There are a couple of drop rounds to be considered at the end of the season, but more on that later. But John Hudson's going to lead Luke Maxwell over the line to take the first win of the evening, and it could end up being a real rosy one for Hudson here in Canada. John Hudson takes the first win at Mosport Park. Maxwell 2nd ahead of VZ, and it's Buson who will make it to 4th place ahead of James Coombs, who will begin race number 2 from reverse grid pole. And that's Taras Vosberg tossing it out with Scott Kostrich going to whites, and it looks like Scott Kostrich is going to take victory in the AMs ahead of Menno DeGraaf and Stefan Mellis, with Gert-Jan Pommen quite a bit behind, with Graham Matthews and Steve Webb. The loss of those two finished the race.
All right. That actually got pretty exciting there after they got warmed up a little bit.
It certainly has warmed up for race number 2, which will be a quick turnaround. There's no warm-up in between races 1 and 2, but there will be in between races 2 and 3. Webb has gone over the line, and so we can run down on the race 1 result. John Hudson takes victory ahead of Luke Maxwell and Jet Veazey, rounding out the podium, with Mike Buson in 4th place ahead of James Coombs and Luke Chinnison. Coombs will be on reverse grid pole. Matthew Richardson 7th. It's Scott Kostrich, the winner in the AMs, ahead of Taras Vosberg. Menno DeGraaf and Stefan Mellis run out the AM podium, followed by Gert-Jan Pommen, Graham Matthews and Steve Webb. The race 2 grid is as follows, with James Coombs on pole ahead of Mike Buson. It's Jack Veazey and Luke Maxwell on road 2, with John Hudson the race 1 win in 5th. Luke Chinnison 6th, followed by Matthew Richardson. It's Scott Kostrich, the highest of the AMs, in 8th. Taras Vosberg 9th, Menno DeGraaf 10th, with Stefan Mellis, Gert-Jan Pommen, Graham Matthews and Steve Webb rounding out the grid.
It's always a challenge to get that in. Good job.
I do my utmost. So we're just waiting on Luke Tunison and John Hodgson to make their way onto the grid. And will we see an absolute dice for the win here in race number 2. 15 minutes again, the same point system as race number 1. The lights are coming on as we speak. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Lights are on. Lights off very, very quickly. And it's a good start from James Coons from pole position. My Buson not getting off the line the best. But it's Jack Vesey who looked like he got the better of the top 4 on the grid. And is going to be alongside for a brief moment with Mike Buson before they go towards turn number 2. So it's Coons who remains in the lead for now at least. But we can just see the field filtering their way through the notorious section of Mosport Park. But it is Coons who leads the way ahead of Buson and Vesey, Jim.
Yeah, off to a good start again. It's going to be interesting to see now these faster drivers working their way through the field a little bit. Because did not see a lot of passing, just straight up passing. Most of the passing occurred because of mistakes. So it's going to be interesting to see if some of these faster drivers are able to make these passes. And we see Matthew Richardson trying to put a move on back here.
So Richardson tells Fosberg, for the first time tonight, is able to get involved in the mix with these fellow pro counterparts. He's looking to make his way through, and Richardson just cutting back through ahead of him before the end of the straightaway. But there we see Coons holding the field now, so we've got a real dice for the victory at the moment with Coons in the lead and Buson in second place, who really need to win to keep his hopes in the championship alive realistically. And well, we're getting on with the job and trying to pass Coons as soon as possible. Coons is not in the championship fight by any means, but he's still aiming for that first win.
Yeah, and he's fast enough that his opportunity is going to come for sure. Yeah, Mike needs to make quick work of him if he can and start pulling out a gap before the likes of Maxwell and McCutcheon work their way and get moving.
Well, out of turn number 6 of Moss, and there we see Coons who continues to lead the way at the head of the field. Buson and VC next, and it's Maxwell and Hudson in 4th and 5th. The top 10 finishes get reversed for the 3rd and final race. Götting Pond is in that position in P10. That can all change in a blink of an eye. Is Buson going to go for it on Coons at the end of the straightaway? No way through there at the moment. Let's have a look at the AMs, because they are just as close behind these, with Kosrich leading Pullman, and it's Mena de Graaf who's attacking him as we speak, coming out of the S's and towards White. And no change there as we speak. Götting Pond is the biggest gainer of the whole field with 2 positions up. But it just feels to me like they're so conscious of corners like turn 2, 3 and 4, where a mistake could cost you the evening, basically, not just this one particular race.
Yeah, I just think that this track is too many high-speed corners, so there's just really not, these cars just don't have the kind of power it takes to drive past somebody strictly on power, you know, and I think that's the problem here. It's a big draft track. It's just one of those facilities, you know.
There we see the leads coming out of Marston through the straightaway. We're on lap number 3. Buson is still on the tail of Coons, very much within the slipstream to attack. The same can be applied with Pullman and de Graaf on the back straight. Buson is not quite on his way through at the moment. He is within a 10th of Coons. I think he was alongside him for a brief moment, and now he's within race to really go for it. But the jeopardy here is that he's got VZ, Maxwell, Hudson, Tunison, Richardson and Vosberg on his tail. So it's like if he goes for it, it could cost him time and positions.
Well, I think that's also an indication that he's probably quicker than Combs, and right now James is kind of holding everybody up just a little bit, and so again, Buson needs to try to make quick work of him here, which, you know, might be a wee bit impatient, and just like we saw he did with Luke Tunison in the first race, he'll put a nose to you and get you out of his way if he feels like he's faster. He's not going to want to sit here and get eat up by Maxwell and Beasley or you know.
Vosberg is past Richardson for P7, so he's on the move right now, as is Buson with Coons here. Is he close enough to go to the outside? It was Rembo as close as he is here, as he was on the previous lap. Here he goes, look. But he's not going to do it there, I don't think. Unless Coombs slides around, which he does. Buson gets alongside, but it's Coombs on the inside line for the last corner. And look how close Veazey is to even running into Buson on the exit. And they survive that one, and it's game on here.
That's the problem. You see, every time he goes for a move like that, Veazey's right there to stick his nose in. Oh, he might.
He's going for the outside here. This is not the ideal line. Yeah, it is dangerous, but Buson's within a car's length. And he's looking to go on through into turn 3, banging wheels, almost sideswiping the pair of them. And Buson is through into the lead. Is Veazey going to take advantage of the open door? I think if he's going to go for it, he needs to do it here. Otherwise, he's going to end up losing time. So round the outside goes Veazey. Can he also send it on Buson into Moss corner? He just takes Coombs, so he decides to hold back a little bit. But now Buson is very much the cork in the bottle because he's giving the draft to the field behind at this stage. So this is probably why drivers are not going for it, because they don't want to be punching a hole in the ceiling of giving the slipstream and the draft down the back straight. Coombs is coming back to the outside of Veazey. If Veazey's going to go through on Buson, he's going to have to go to the inside, which there is enough room, but it's just too quick of a corner.
Well, this is exactly what Buson wants to see. He's just praying that Combs comes up there and just starts harassing Veazey and slows him up a little bit so he can pull away just slightly, you know.
Richardson is now behind Scott Kostrich, so he's losing time as Matthew at the moment. Kostrich looking to get 2 AM wins this evening, which will help his cause in the AM fight. And even though realistically it is a slim shot for him at the moment, there we see Scott Kostrich in the 101 ahead of Matthew Richardson, who's in a different class to where he is. It's Miller de Graaf who Kostrich needs to worry about because he's the next AM driver behind. And all the other AM drivers are nose to tail. So we've got all 14 drivers nose to tail. No one needing to duck into the pits for repairs. Steve Webb, who's running in 13th position, needs to make up for lost time after a difficult first race.
Yeah, he does not seem to be too comfortable here at all at this particular track, which is understandable. This is not one of the more popular tracks. It's not one that you may have run a lot in different series or, you know, to get used to it. It's you know, so I can understand guys not being quite as comfortable here as maybe some others.
Veazey on the tail of Buson out of the last corner. Is Veazey going to go for it? Well, considering that Hudson had won earlier, he needs to try and rebound from it and get the championship lead back. Oh, that's enough for James Coombs at the exit turn 1, and through goes Maxwell. So another mistake from Coombs under pressure has allowed Maxwell through into the top 3.
I mean, that honestly seems to be the way in passing is going today. That's what it's going to take, is you kind of got to force somebody to do a mistake.
Jürgen Pollman is through on Stefan Millis for 3rd position in the AMS. He'll be needing to go after Miller de Graaf at the moment, who's 1.2 seconds up the road. They will see Millis and Webb right behind, and Greg Matthews has kept in touch with these as they come out of Moss. Richardson is leading Kostrich in this battle, but he's given Kostrich the buffer he needs to just remain in front of his own rivals, whilst Richardson is going after Taras Vosberg.
Yeah, Richardson's back there, it seems like he's kind of the, you know what I mean, like kind of the lead of the amateurs, the way he's battling, and like you said, he barely got in touch in the first race with any of the pro drivers, and it's kind of the same thing that's happening here.
Through the right hands they come. Richardson in 8th position, the lowest of the pros. Taras Vosberg in P7, 4 seconds off Luke Chinson, with just over 6 minutes remaining on lap number 8. And there we see the leaders coming through. The right-hander of turn number 3, otherwise known as Quebec, and we ride on board with John Hutchison as they approach the downhill section before Moss. And we've seen a few drivers make mistakes through here. Hutchison getting his line slightly incorrect at the moment, but he gets through Moss corner nevertheless. But looking at the fight for the lead, Veazey's on the tail of Buson. I know he's 2/10 back, but the slipstream is still effective around here in these SR8s. As Veazey's looking to make his move here. He'll have to go to the outside because there's no question that Buson is going to cover the inside. So Veazey's going to have to go to the outside if he can help it and outbrake him. But he's just not able to get alongside for the left-hander of the S's.
We just don't have we don't have enough braking zones around here that require heavy braking. all kind of minor braking zones, and I think that's the problem. You don't have a chance to really outbrake someone. At this point, I think Veazy's just trying to scare him when he gets up there and, sticks his nose out there. I don't think he's really trying to pass him as much as he's just trying to cause him to make a mistake.
And Scott Kostrich has been off the circuit. He was in the lead in the AMS. Whereas Kostrich is now down to 5th place. He's lost the lead to Menno de Graaf. I think he's been off at turn 1.
Oh.
Well, he was fighting with Menno de Graaf after losing the place, and he caught the barrier.
Well, he did. Look at that inside. He caught that inside curve, huh? Twitched the car bad. Wow. That's unfortunate for him. But this track lends itself to that. This track will force you into making mistakes, and as we see, McCutcheon here starting to really, really, really harass Combs.
There's a couple of changes further down the field. Richardson's through on Vosberg for P7, Webb is through on Mellis for P11, and up to 3rd place in the AMS. Veazy to the outside of Boost again into turn 1, just trying to force him into a mistake if he can do so. But now it's on to
where's Luke going?
Well, Luke is trying to go via a different line in the case of
somebody going off track or somebody touching another driver. I just don't see. We just had a pass here. Richardson just went off track as well.
He did. Yeah, that's over at Mosport.
Got by.
The race taking another turn for the worse for Matthew Richardson. He's now behind Menno de Graaf, and there we go back to the top 6.
It is quite a scramble up here, though, isn't it? I mean, they are nose to tail.
Isn't it just? And Buson is doing his utmost to hold on. Will be 3 more laps of racing with 3 minutes to go. And that is Buson taking a wide line through turn number 1. It almost looked like he touched the grass on his way through, but that line has helped him. Give him a 3/10 buffer over Veazy, which can vanish on the straightaway.
That's actually the biggest gap we've seen in this whole race, maybe right there.
Maybe so, but Buson is holding on as we can see. And Veazy has got Maxwell for company behind. The same with Coombs and Hudson and Junison. And they're having to go back 6 seconds to find Towers Vosberg, who has got Menno de Graaf behind, who's going for another AM victory. It was Scott Kostrich who took victory in race number 1 in the AMS, and it looks like Menno de Graaf is going to add another AM victory to his total for this season. And now we look at John Hudson riding on board with behind James Coombs, going to the outside. If Coombs can make the most of the draft from Maxwell ahead, that should give him the power he needs to remain ahead. But there's no way through from Hudson at the moment, getting offline and having to tuck back in.
Yeah, this place, it's just brutally tough to pass. And every time you jump out and do something like that, it brings the guy behind you right into the mix, And just like that right there. Oh, McCutcheon's off.
Yeah, that was a mistake at turn 1 for John Hudson. Remains in front for Junison for the time being. He has the inside line, went wide at turn 2. That was almost wheel to wheel between the Dutchman and the Scot. And there we see. They did bump, and Hudson almost running Junison out wide. So we see Hudson go off the circuit to begin with, and Junison got alongside once Hudson went offline again, and that was almost contact made between the pair of them going into turn 3.
That was good avoidance, but that's unfortunate for John. Now dropped back to 6th place. I'm sure that will make Veazy happy, even though he's not leading the race. He is in 2nd. With McCutcheon back there losing a spot, that every point helps, at this point.
Yeah, well, Richardson's race goes from bad to worse because he's now behind Gert-Jan Polman, Steve Webb, and Stefan Millis. It looks like he's been off again.
Yeah, he's
Moss
struggling
corner.
here. Yeah, he did. He did go off. I'm not going to show him again because it's a compounding it. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Richardson's a young guy, It wouldn't surprise me at all if he had to buy this track for this race. You know what I mean? And he probably has no experience here. And this is the kind of track that, it takes a little while to get used to, I think. I don't think you just jump in here and run 10 laps and are fast.
No, I mean, I don't know for certain if it's one of those circuits they have to bite. I mean, I'm not an iRacing driver myself. I'm just here to commentate. But there we see Buson is now on his last lap now. He should have enough in hand over VC, who's just too far back to make a challenge. Medegoff has got in front of Taras Fosberg now into P7, so he's going to make his way up the order. Steve Webb is on course for reverse grid pole. John Hodgson's got alongside Luke Chinson, and he's on his way through. Fosberg still fighting with Medegoff. Back with the leaders. Hodgson to the outside of Chinson into the S's, but Chinson is able to hold on. And now we go back to Mike Buson, who's going to take victory here at Mosport Park, holding off Jack VC, Luke Maxwell, and James Coombs to the end. Mike Buson wins again. He won in Belle Isle last week. He's won again here at Mosport Park. Splendid stuff by the Englishman. Jack VC finishes second as Luke Maxwell, James Coombs, Luke Chinson holding off John Hodgson to the end. Menedegoff wins in the AMS. Taras Fosberg came close to getting back ahead of him. And we just see Gert-Jan Polman and Steve Webb rounding out the podium finishes in the AMS. Steve Webb will be on reverse grid pole again. And then we've got Stefan Mills finishing in P11 right there. Let's have a rundown.
That was fun.
Let's have a rundown on the result.
That little incident there was fun.
It was. Mike Buson is the winner with Jack VC second, and it's Luke Maxwell in third place ahead of James Coombs. Luke Chinson, Dyson with John Hodgson right at the end, who was able to hold on to fifth place. Menegoff was the winner in the AMS, and it's Taras Fosberg second last in the Pro. So had Gert-Jan Polman and Steve Webb round out the AM podium finishers. Steve Webb will be on reverse grid pole with Stefan Mills finishing in P11, followed by Matthew Richardson, Scott Kostrich, and Graham Matthews.
I'm assuming that is that's Jamie that said, "Oh look, Mike leading a race. Did he start on the front row by any chance?" And then yeah, that's Michael. That's Richardson. There, the comment said he doesn't have any pace around there. Yeah, I just if you're still Matthew, if you're still listening, I figured you probably had to buy this track for this race just because it's like I said, it's not a super popular track that runs in a lot of series. So be curious to see, as everybody I guess is nobody's out on track during the warm up here, probably just taking a break. Pullman's going to go out. We'll follow him, see what happens. Yeah, and we got I'm assuming that's Jamie that made that comment about Buson.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jamie Bird, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and good evening to you, Jamie, who's been watching on. Hopefully we'll see you back on track very, very soon. Just to remind you, we go to Mugello, Hockenheim and Monza to wrap up the 7th season of the Radical SR8 Championship.
Yeah, I miss seeing Jamie out here. Always fun to watch Jamie run. This is it's a very interesting track. It's actually making me want to go drive it now or something. I want to go, I want to find some official or something that's running here, and I just want to go race this track because, I don't know, it just looks like it has a rhythm to it. But the problem is it needs to be high horsepower cars. These lower horsepower type vehicles like this SR8 this track just isn't made for low horsepower cars to be able to pass. It's just you carry too much speed around here. There's no braking zones.
Apparently it's James B who's been in touch rather than Jamie Bird, as far as I know. But yeah, I do feel for Matthew Richardson at the moment. I mean, if it's a lack of experience with this circuit, then fine, fair enough. There's a lot of other tracks where he's been able to come up with the goods.
Yeah, which that's what he said there. He at least said at least the starts are better. Yeah, this is a tough place. Again, like I said, it's a momentum track, and if you don't have that line, and you're getting yourself off, it's pretty easy to lose that momentum, and that's a big problem in these cars. You drop back so fast.
Well, sometimes I'm making the most of the warm-up session just to get a little bit of mileage in there. Others, I've just taken a break, maybe grab a drink or something.
Or
not to
do some spin outs and stuff. Which I'm okay with too.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was James Coombs or Scott Kostrich who.
No, I think that was Combs. To be honest, I'm not sure. It could have been either one. Downhill start practice. That's interesting.
Well, we've got around about a minute to go in this warm-up session. Do get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish to do, and we'll answer your questions as we continue the broadcast. We've got 20 minutes for this final race. The top 10 finishes of race number 2 will be reversed, which means it is Steve Webb, not for the first time, will be on reverse grid pole.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not out there. Oh, he is out there practicing his starts. That's although he's gotten significantly better at that. I mean, he really needs to. He needs to try to make the most of this front row start here because he's third in the championship, but he hasn't had any success tonight so far at all. He really needs to pull this last race out and get some decent points out of it to stay in the hunt there anyway, at least for a podium finish here in the championship.
He needs an AM win. That's what he needs.
He really
needs
does,
to
yeah.
get as high up in the race as he can to realistically stay in the hunt. Bearing in mind there are the drop scores to consider. That does not apply to the final round of the season at Monza. That is excluded. So he will need to be around for the remainder of the season. Will Steve Webb, if he is to become the AM champion this time around? The warm-up session has reached its conclusion, and we can run down on the grid for the third and final race of tonight. Steve Webb on reverse grid pole, followed by Gert-Jan Polman. Then it's Taras Vosberg and Mette de Graaf on the second row, with John Hudson and Luke Tunison on row number 3. James Cairns and Luke Maxwell are on row number 4, followed by Jack Veazey and race 2 winner Mike Buson. Stefan Millis and Matthew Richardson on row number 6. At the back are the two Scots of Scott Kostrich and Graham Matthews. As you see the field making their way onto the grid now for this third and final encounter here at Mosport Park in Canada. The one remaining driver to make his way onto the grid is John Hutchison. As we wait patiently for him to make his way onto the grid. He is on the grid now, and we are good to go. All 14 cars in position. Look into those 5 red lights. We've got 1 light on, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and hardly any wheel spin off the line from Steve Webb. Yeah, that's Gert-Jan Polman. He's come to go with Mette de Graaf as well. Race is compromised for the pair of them. It looks like Taras Vosberg's got in front of Steve Webb coming out of turn number 1. And look at John Hudson's alongside Steve Webb for a brief moment. And Webb, yeah, he got off track. He got on the grass. Did Webb, and that's contact involving Tucson, Hudson, Maxwell, and Veazey. Carnage at turn number 2 on the third and final race of the night here at Mosport Park. A big twist in the title race. It's absolute drama and a dream scenario for Mike Buson, who's running in 5th place. Steve Webb is off.
Yep, Webb's in trouble there. He's gone down the order. Holy cow, Taras Vosberg, man. He just inherited, he just walked into a party there. We got to go back and look at that. Holy cow. So, I mean, let's see. This is way past it.
So it was Steve Webb who got on the grass first. Then Hudson had to slam on the brakes. Hudson gets run into by Tunison.
Yeah. I think McCutcheon lifted there, trying to slow down and all right, let's look at that one more time. We'll keep it slow this time. So, yeah, McCutcheon got over. Tunison got into the back of him and turned McCutcheon. Then they slid over and took out Veazey and Maxwell. Wow. Huge implications here in the championship. Holy cow.
Absolutely. So that's the nature of how the reverse grid for the third and final race can produce. And John Hudson has kept going in P11, but there's no doubt that his car will have sustained a significant amount of damage. Mike Buson's got up into 3rd place now, ahead of Matthew Richardson, and Gert-Jan Polman's made up for that terrible start.
Yeah.
He's in the lead in the AMS.
He is, yeah. And Mette de Graaf is not that far behind either, so they will recover nicely after what happened. I mean, we lost 2 cars completely, and Veazey and McCutcheon are both, I'm sure, limping around out there.
Yeah, well, Veazey's continuing.
Up 8
That's
spots.
Yeah. It's been one of those races so far for Richardson, making the most of other people's misfortunes. It's been a fortuitous one for Richardson, be able to take it. Many de Graaf and Gagan Pullman are tossing it out. These were the top two in the AM standings coming into tonight. Now, with the fact that we've lost some of the pro drivers in this race, it's a good opportunity to get a good haul of points.
It is. I'll tell you who's fixing to get a good haul of points. James Combs is coming, man. He's closed this gap up in no time.
Taylor Torres Vosberg, whose last victory in this series came at the season finale of the previous campaign at Monza. Can he hold off James Coombs, who's going for his first win?
I didn't remember him winning at Monza, but my recollection of Mosport best event was he ran so well at the Nordschleife. You remember? I mean, just phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one driver who was good also over there was Luke Chinson.
Yeah.
Luke Chinson had a good time of the year. I think he came over with a couple of podiums from those two races that we had, although it's not going to happen this evening.
No, unfortunately not. From hero to goat in 1 week, man. Wins 2 races last week. Now here he is sitting parked in the pits with over 3 minutes of damage repair going on.
Yeah, it's been a race to forget for Luke Maxwell, unfortunately. Not his fault by any means, but that is a race to forget. It may go down as one of his drop scores for the season, unless he's got a couple of rounds which he had already missed this season.
Well, unfortunately from McCutcheon, this is bad news because he doesn't have any drop rounds left.
No.
Rosberg got the curb.
He did, and Coombs is going to come out of the slipstream and pull alongside here. He may have his whole car ahead by the time they get to the braking zone at the S's. He does push Vosberg to the limit here, to the right-hand side, but Vosberg will have other ideas to come back through. But it looks like Coombs has got him here. He'll have the inside for the left-hander before White gets on the curb, though, and this gives Vosberg the high ground on the exit, and he remains in front.
I'll tell you what, all they're doing is they are holding the front door open and inviting Mike Bousson in, and here he comes.
Here he comes indeed, Mike Bousson, the winner in the second race, going after the 2 leaders. And what's not to bet on Mike Bousson coming away with another victory here. Now, there are bigger points being given out in this one, so Mike Bousson, if he's going to be fighting for the title, has got to make the most of this.
Yeah, this is absolutely an opportunity that Bousson needs to seize. And to be fair, at this point where he's sitting in this race, I think he'd be hard-pressed not to pull this victory off. Both of the drivers in front of him we've seen make some mistakes tonight on each of the previous races, little off-track moments and stuff. And that is all it takes around here for somebody like Bousson to just jump all over you. Like right here, going side by side, that is just inviting Bousson to the party.
We'll get the time and tow up for you in a moment, but there we see Vosberg just holding up Coombs and Bousson. There you see Luke Chinson out of the race already. Maxwell, VC and Hudson are still going, but they're a long way back from everyone else. Bousson going to the inside of Coombs at turn number 1 on the curb. Very, very brave from Mike Bousson. Will he have the outside line? It's not the ideal line that has caught some drivers out in the past, and sensibly he waits back for another opportunity. So that's the closest Bousson has been for P2.
Man, he caught a lot of curb there. I thought that was miraculous that didn't throw his car sideways. We've seen other cars hit that curb and wreck earlier in the race.
Right-handers of Moss and Vosberg remains in the lead ahead of Coombs. Bousson, Richardson in 4th place, being chased by Mena de Graaf. I think we've just seen a change in the field. Is that Gert-Jan Pommen going through on Stefan Mills? I couldn't quite see. It might have been Mills through on Kostrich, but either way, there's a change in the field. Steve Webber's pretty much got himself back into the action in the AMS at the moment, but all that time he has lost. Well, that's not bode well for his championship hopes,
No, it doesn't. It's quite unfortunate for him. He had an opportunity there to keep himself in the championship fight. And, he just unfortunately slipped away from him there.
On that number 7, it is a 20-minute race, just to remind you. And Vosberg is in the lead right now. You can see the top 3 in your picture, and further back Richardson running wide on the exit of the first turn of the racetrack. and has got Mennedegraaf, the AM leader for company. Mennedegraaf on course to extend his lead in the championship in the AMs over Polman and Webb. Of course, there are still 3 more rounds to go, and Richardson runs wide again and goes off the circuit, very nearly catching the barrier, and that was all it needs. That was all Mennedegraaf needed to go on by.
So we now have an offer of eating their hat if Mike Buson wins this race. I expect video of that. If that happens, I would like to see you eating on your hat, and so. Because I got a feeling before this is all said and done that Buson will win this race.
Well, he's got plenty of time to do it. I suppose some behind.
If I'm being honest, I want to see Vosberg put up the level of fight it's going to take to win this race. You know, we've seen him have his moments, but we've never really seen him tooth and nail win a race. You know what I mean? And this is going to be that kind of opportunity. I want to see that out of him. I want to see if he's got it in him to do that, you know.
Well, he is in the lead. It hasn't been as even up until this third and final affair here for Tars Vosberg, so this is an opportunity for some recompense. From the Lithuanian, who, as I've already mentioned, his one and only victory in this series came at Monza last season. Coombs behind him. You can see it's almost like bump drafting between these two. He had his nose literally on his gearbox.
He did. And Mike's just sitting back here licking his chops. He's not even pushing his car that hard right now. You know, he's just waiting. I think he knows that it's not time to push yet. You know, and I think with the way these two are battling, he's just setting himself up to take advantage of it. Ooh, right there.
Buson to the outside. That door that Coombs left open is going to cost him. And Buson is almost running into Vosberg at the last turn. And could that be the opening for Coombs to go on by? Is he alongside here, Coombs? He's not. So he's having to concede second position to Mike Buson. And now it's Tars Vosberg in the way.
For the lead.
Yeah, Buson's exit was much greater than Vosberg's, and he just wasn't able to get through turn 2. It's not really the line to take. Coombs is coming back around the outside of Quebec corner. Buson will have other ideas. Now, does he leave Coombs enough space? He leaves him more than enough space, actually.
I like the fighting Combs, though, man. I do. I love that.
Well, the top 3 are well clear of Mennedegraaf, who's on his own at the moment with Matthew Richardson for company. But there we see the top 3 nose to tail. Is Buson going to go through on Vosberg for the lead after starting in P10?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I really do believe it. You know, like I said earlier in the first race, man, Buson is a bulldog. He just doesn't quit.
And neither should he. 3 goes on Vosberg for the lead, and it's Buson who takes a giant step in his pursuit for the title this season. He goes through ahead of Vosberg and Coombs, and how big could that be after today's race? Because that was coming all along, I think. From the moment Buson got on the rear of Coombs and Vosberg, he bided his time, and he's through with 9 minutes remaining.
Yeah, you better start sharpening them teeth up. That hat's going to be tough. Yeah, my guess is what's fixing to happen here is if Buson gets any kind of gap, then Combs and Vosberg are going to start fighting, and that's going to be the last that's going to be the last chance they have to catch a Buson.
There's a few more changes down the field. Graham Matthews moves in front of Stefan Mellis, who's made a mistake on this lap. So he's down to P10. I wonder if John Hodgson may have enough time to go after Mellis just to get another championship point after what's been a terrible third race for him.
Well, he's got, 20 seconds or so? 7? Oh, no. He's closing it.
It'll be less than that.
Yeah, he's rapidly closing. Yeah, he probably will. Nothing against Stefan, but he's made a few mistakes. But there you go. As you can see right here, this is, oh my gosh, what a body check slide move through there. Holy cow.
That was Coombs going through on Vosberg at the last turn. Enough for him to move up the order.
8 tires are better than 4. It's slowing your car up, apparently. Holy cow. He just used Vosberg up right there.
There's a brilliant fight going on further up between Gert-Jan Polman and Scott Kostrich. And there we see Steve Webb, who's very much back in the fight. He's looking to the outside of Scott Kostrich for turn number 3. Kostrich leaves him enough space, and Steve Webb's going to have to find somewhere else to make his move as we speak. 4th position in the AMs is Steve Webb. He's hoping he can get through on Kostrich sooner rather than later. There's no way he's going to be coming out with the AM victory at the moment because Mendigov is so far clear of his AM rivals.
This was a move right here. He just absolutely just. Excuse me, I'm coming through. I mean, I like it. I like aggressive racing like that, but.
No, that was hard racing. It's fair from James Coombs.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, that's. But he definitely used him up right there.
He's doing to 2nd place now. We look at Matthew Richardson and Mendigov, who've been at it throughout a lot of this. Richardson holding on to 4th position. Mendigov on course for another AM victory. Holman, Kostrich and Webb are further back in the fight for P2 in the AMs. It looks like Mendigov is just happy to sit in behind Matthew Richardson for now and just make the most of the draft.
Yeah, I would if I were him. I would just stay tucked in there for a while and let's just build that gap. And they've got a nice one already, so keep that fight between. Oh, there goes Richardson, power sliding it there. That's going to give Menno a run here.
Richardson and de Graaf in the fight for 4th and 5th. Webb to the outside of Kostrich further back on the straightaway. Is this the moment where Webb moves up into the AM podium after the off he had on lap number 1? He's run about there, but I don't think he's going to be brave enough to the outside unless he can prove me wrong here. No, he's having to suck back in, so he's just waiting for another opportunity to come around for Steve Webb. And he's going to have to wait a little bit longer before he makes his move.
Yeah, we have separated up here, I think, a little bit as well.
There are the leaders of Buson and Koons. And Buson's victory is far from secure at the moment. James is right on his tail and pulling away from Vosberg, who is beginning to drop back. But there we see the top 2, with Buson ahead of Koons in the fight for the lead.
Yeah, this little battle back here is good, though. They are really kind of back and forth up here. And now Graham Matthews coming to join the party a little bit too.
Yeah, he's not really featured much tonight, has Graham Matthews, but he's ahead of Stefan Millis at least anyway. And I think he's looking to make the most of the misfortunes of others here, particularly these 3, where you never know what can take place. And John Mahotson, who's way down the field at the moment, he is on the lead lap and chasing after Stefan Millis.
Yeah, I'm curious. You know what? In fact, I'm going to go look. I'm just curious how beat up his car is.
Well, he didn't pit in at the end of lap 1 for repairs. Let's have a look at his
steering wheel.
onboard view. His steering wheel, see if he's operating well. It looks like he's okay, although it's a little bit reluctant to turn in, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's wait till he gets in the little straighter section here. Yeah, there are very many straight sections here. Yeah, he's a little off. I mean, but he's clearly got damage. Obviously, he could be moving his way back up.
Well, he is going quicker than the leaders, I can tell you that. And the driver with the fastest up of the race is the man behind him, Jack Veazey.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, he came in for repairs, did Veazey, and he continued.
Yeah, he did. Well, they both did, actually. They both came in.
I suppose, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I missed that. I didn't see John come in, but he did. He came on.
And there we look at Scott Kostrich behind Gert-Jan Polman for 2nd place in the AMs. Not able to pull off a move that time around. He's got Steve Webb on the rear. Oh, he's looking to go for it there at the left-hander. He's feeling brave enough. On the curb is Kostrich. He pushes Polman to a not-so-ideal line. But I think the exit was Polman's saviour there. And so the Dutchman is able to hold on for now. Kostrich and Webb giving chase as they go up and down the hill again through turn number 2. It looks like Polman is able to hold on for the time being. Koons is still close to Buson with looks like, I think we've got 2 laps to go. There goes Buson running a little wide at Moss. surely Coombs is close enough to attack here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got it down to almost a tenth of a second here.
We've got 2 more laps to go after this one, and Coombs will pull alongside to push Boost onto the inside line. He needs to be later on the brakes here. He is, but it doesn't make him invisible by any means. And Coombs is just giving him all the fright he needs for now as we enter the final couple of laps.
Busan is just so tough to pass. He can make that radical 3 times as wide as he runs. He is brutal, hard driver.
We haven't got long left in this race now. Race number 3, round 7 of the Radical S8 Championship. It was John Hodgson who took race 1 victory. Mike Buson took the second race victory. Is he going to make it 2 in a row? Or is it James Coombs who's going to win the race at last in his maiden season in this series?
That would definitely be cool for him to claim a victory in his first season here. That's not easy to do in this series for sure.
When you consider how many of these have been around for some time. Mendegraaff has got through on Matthew Richardson further back. I think Richardson made a mistake at Moss, hence why he's now behind the Dutchman. But there we look at James Coombs going for it. He's not as close this time compared to the previous lap. So next time around will be his last chance.
Yeah, there's just no braking zones that allow you to make that move, You just kind of force a mistake.
Here we go for one last time then. The last 2.5 miles of this evening's action. Is it going to be Buson taking another win, or is James Coombs going to be standing on the top step for the first time? And Rosberg is content in 3rd place at the minute. He's well clear of Mendegraaff. And it's also that fight, remember, between Polman, Kostrich and Webb. Kostrich is so close to Polman at the moment. There he is, looks Kostrich to the outside heading into Clayton Corner. Polman is able to hold on for now. But we'll go back to the leaders because they're coming towards Moss and the Marion Andretti straight away for the last line. There's Coombs. I think he came too close. He was too close at that part of the course. That might just give Buson the buffer he needs on this final lap. Unless James Coombs can absolutely send it. He's too far back. There's no way he's going to do it from here, I don't think. Unless he absolutely sends it on the brakes. There we see Buson holding on that time around. And that should be enough. Mike Buson has come through from 10th on the grid. And this victory is going to change things in terms of his chances in the championship. Mike Buson wins again at Mosport Park with James Coombs in 2nd place. Rounding out the podium is Taras Fosberg and another victory in the arms for Mendegraaff.
Yeah, that was a good one for Buson there, and Combs. What a run he had. That was a good. Whoa. I just love the way they do that in the race.
John Hodgson will finish in P10 and Jack Beasley down in 11th. Not a good 3rd and final race. I wonder if this will go down as one of Jack Beasley's drop rounds. This will most certainly not be one of John Hodgson's drop rounds because he's already missed a couple of rounds this season. So of course this is going to have massive implications for the championship. A good haul of points for Mike Buson. Just waiting for VC to head over the line, which he has done now, and so we can run down on the 3rd and final race result here at Mosport Park in Canada. It is Mike Buson who ends the evening with 2 wins out of 3 and a bigger chunk of points to go with it. James Coombs 2nd, still searching for that first win. Taras Fosberg in 3rd. Mendegraaff, the winner again in the AMs, followed by Matthew Richardson. Scott Kostrich and Steve Webb round out the AM podium, followed by Graham Matthews, Pullman and Stefan Millis. And then we've got the big guns, which were affected at the beginning. John Hodgson, Jack Vesey and Luke Maxwell. Luke Chinston was the only driver to not finish.
And I tell you what, that was absolutely exactly what Mike Buson needed there. That was what a day for him in the point standings. It's going to really shoot him up there.
Absolutely so. I'm looking at how he did in the first race because I want to see. Do you remember where he started?
I don't. But he finished pretty good in the first race too, I think. Let's see.
He finished in P4.
Yeah, so not a bad day,
You've got 13 championship points for that. You got 20 for the race win in race 2 and 25 for the race 3 win. So that is a total of 58 points going into the total of Mike Bousson, and that will give him a much better chance in the championship fight with 3 rounds to go, the next of which we go to is at Mugello. And we're just waiting for a driver or two to make their way into the interview room, and we can get a word from them on how their evenings have panned out. Whilst waiting, Jim, how did you find it?
Well, very exciting. I mean, what made it exciting was the big incident and the implications that has in the championship fight. As far as the on-track racing goes, probably not my favorite event I've ever broadcast or anything like that. I just think that this, there are just certain cars, track combinations that are great, and there are some that are just okay. And I think that was the case for this one. I just don't think this track car combo is made for a lot of exciting passing. I think this is one of those situations where you just have to wait for somebody to make a mistake and take advantage of it.
Of course. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well in case you've already done so.
Nobody wants to talk to you, Tom. What is going on?
I'm a little surprised, actually. I thought there'd be at least one or two.
I thought Mike would be in here in a heartbeat, unless they're, unless they're having an issue somewhere, talking something out or something. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll give them a couple more minutes here and see if anybody's going to show. But again, like I said, I just watching this race makes me want to go drive this track because it just looks like a flowing, fun track to drive. And I am tremendously looking forward as we look here at the schedule. Not that I probably won't be doing those races, but obviously the historic Monza is, we all know that now. We've done it for several seasons as the closing race, and it's fantastic. But Mugello next week is going to be an interesting track. I personally like Mugello. There's a lot of people that probably don't know it very well. Don't have a lot of laps around there. For some reason or another, I have put in a lot of laps there, and I like it,
Yeah. Well, we have got a driver who we can speak to now. That is Gert Jan Polman, who I'm sure have enjoyed a very challenging one here at Mosport Park. Gert, good evening. How are you?
Hi, good evening. Yeah, I'm fine. A bit tired after the race.
I can imagine.
Yeah, this is a great track, and this is really a track that just is great with this car. So it's quite a difficult track. I really love it, but I'm just not good at it.
Do you find
it's not?
Oh, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's not for everyone. I mean, we were speaking about Matthew Richardson earlier, who happened to have bought the game not too long before he raced here tonight, and we felt that he struggled as well. And I suppose it's one of those where if you know it and you make your way around it, fine, great. That's probably going to give you an advantage. But if not, you're probably going to be struggling so much.
Yeah, I agree. I had that the same because I'm okay-ish. I think about a second off the pace that I want to be. And then you have all the guys behind me, like Scott and Stefan, and especially Menno, who I know they are faster. But you can really keep them quite well behind until you make a small mistake at the hairpin. Or
see, to me, that's the issue with this track is that it looks fun to drive, but it just doesn't seem to match up well with this car as far as passing goes. We probably didn't see 5 passes all night that were just clean passes. Most all of them came when somebody made a little mistake, But it definitely looked like a fun track to drive in this car.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, I've had some great battles with, especially with Scott, also in the fast right-hander before the finish. Not the final corner, but the fast leading out of the straight.
Yeah.
There were some corners where we were just that corner and the few corners after that just side by side, and I did pass some people and some people passed me. But it's
good.
rare.
Actually, good to hear your take on that because from my perspective anyway, I did really see that, and that's good to hear that that as a driver that you felt like it did offer those opportunities, which is great.
Yeah, the fun thing is when you really set it up from the hairpin and then you get a good run on the on the straight.
Yeah.
You can actually go around the outside, but you really have to plan it, and also that's fun as well. So not take every opportunity to dive into the corner.
Well, Gert, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us, and
Thank you.
we'll speak to each other again next week at Magello.
Thank you. Maybe one more thing. I would
Yep.
like to apologize to Menno because he was behind me at the start of the main race, and I absolutely massacred the start and got a lot of wheel spin, and I kind of pushed him off having the wheel spin. So apologies to Menno.
Yeah. Well, he did recover to take the and win
I
by
was
the end
gonna
of the
say
evening.
it didn't hurt his race.
He did, yeah. Thanks.
Cool. I'll let you get
Okay.
off, Gert, and
Bye-bye.
best of luck,
Thanks.
and hope you have a nice week.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers. That was Gert-Jan Polman. We spoke to that. He picked up an M podium in race number 2. Let's speak to the man who has absolutely taken the track by storm, and that big chunk of points has given him a more realistic chance of the title. Mike, good evening.
I think I've got it in the bag. Good evening.
Don't be too far ahead of that.
Clinched
I
it
think we
tonight,
might as
didn't
well.
you? You clinched it tonight.
I think Jack should just give me the trophy now, whoever's at the top. Is it Jack?
We don't know now.
At the beginning of the night, it was Jack, yeah.
Yeah, I hope they haven't started engraving his name on there because I'm having it.
Mr. Who thinks it's right. How was your evening? How did you find it though? Because you came through on 10th. What was your view of the accident it had? What did you have to sort of dodge your way around it?
I was amazed. I managed to dodge it. I don't know who instigated it. What happened? There was a few slow to start, which looked a bit. Was there a few people on the grass before turn 1 and then turn 2 or whatever we're calling it, 3, 2. And it was like, parting of the Red Sea. Made my life a little bit more easier, that's for sure, because the draft, you have to be very close coming out of whatever that lovely corner is to really get a chance. The SR8 in this fixed setup doesn't draft very easily. I think you've got to be in about, you really want to be 0.2 to stand a chance to get around the outside.
Yeah.
So it was a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge, with James Cairns and Taras Vos. We've just seen some of the images of that fight. I mean, Taras didn't have a good first couple of races, but the third one, I thought he came alive a little bit. But I think that comes down to the fact that he's not had anyone, apart from you and James, to really toss it out with him. But when he's absolutely in the thick of it, that's when I think he tends to struggle the most.
Yeah, I was a bit hesitant to start. I was going to let them sort of battle it out, but I didn't know how long I was going to be sat there. So I sort of thought, I took advantage of those two being slightly offline, and I was able to dodge up the last corner. And James did a real good job. It's a couple of times, I think 2 races now, I tried to string it around the inside, and he held it really well on the outside. I thought myself, fair play to him. I will get past him, but not yet.
Anyone who want to shout out to Mike before we let you go?
I'll give it to those two for giving a good challenge in the last race, especially James. Done a really good job. That's it really.
Cool. Mike, another brilliant evening. Well done. And we'll see you next week at Magello to see if you can do it again.
Brilliant. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, he cracks me up, man.
He does indeed.
That trophy's his, he says. I love it.
Well, it's been another one of those evenings, haven't it? And most certainly Mike Bousson has absolutely grabbed the opportunity and went with it. And can he do so again at Magello? Well, the championship is very much hotting up, isn't it? After that third and final encounter, which saw John Hutchinson and Jack Vesey found themselves in the wars in unexpected fashion. And so it was Mike Bousson who reaped the benefits, and he's hoping he can carry that through in the final 3 rounds of the season. Jim, thank you very much for taking the time to be on board with the broadcast and sharing your analysis with us all. And thank you to everyone that's been tuning in the live chat, watching, and thank you to the drivers who put on a very, very good show. We'll do it all again next week when James Parker is back in comms with me. I'm Tom Cairns with Jim Cunningham, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical SR8 Championship returns, and it's good night.